the full Warhammer 3 campaign map. Here it is, without any crap on it. We can now see everything, so we're going to go through, take a close-up look at all the areas, and mark the Legendary Lord starting positions as we go. Although not all of them are known or 100% confirmed yet, but we've got most of them. So come with me on a journey through time and space to the Lands of Kislev. This is going to be the most recognizable part of the map to us, as it is part of Warhammer 2. We've got all your favorites, Reichlands in there, right at the bottom. So we might see old Karl Franz down there. We've got Nordland, Middenland, Hochland, all the usual Empire factions. In the bottom right here, we can see Sylvania, so probably going to have some vampires down there, maybe Manfred. But we see the Northern Oblast and Eastern Oblast as expanded areas for Warhammer 3. So this is where Kislev is going to be. Katerin starting somewhere around here. It's hard to pinpoint exactly given what we've seen so far, but she's going to be there somewhere. And Kostaltin is going to be on the coast around here. So he's going to have some water access at least, but both of these starting kind of near each other. They're also surrounded by potential allies in the Empire factions, assumedly humans and humans will be buddies. But also in this area is another legendary lord. It's your boy Scrag the Slaughterer, who starts in the Grey Mountains apparently, so somewhere around here next to Reichland. Good luck, Karl. So potentially a pretty big threat coming from the south for the Kislev factions and those Empire factions as well. And it's probably quite a nice starting position for Scrag, being in the corner. You don't have to worry about anyone coming from the south or anything, so you just got to push north and east, really. That's all you got to worry about. And he's surrounded by Empire factions, which are generally one of the easier factions to get rid of, so Scrag should have a nice time down there. North of Kislev is, of course, where the chaos is going to come from. Likely going to be Norskans up in the Trollheim Mountains and those kind of areas. Maybe some Dwarfs, maybe some Skaven. And I think it's possible that Skarbrand is going to be in this area too, although maybe not in that Norskan kind of area. Perhaps above, maybe around here. We haven't had his position confirmed yet, so not really sure. I'm going to throw a guess out of somewhere in the Northern Wastes, maybe. A pretty classic chaosy area. As for what may surround him, it's hard to say as we don't know anything about this new part of the map, so maybe some more bad guy factions, maybe the Dark Elves up here, maybe some Warriors of Chaos, assuming they're still around. But if Skarbrand is somewhere up here, then he's going to have a bit of a trek on his hands to get through the Norskan lands and get after Kislev, if that's something he wants to do. Of course, we still have no idea what the actual campaign victory conditions and things are, what the goal is going to be. So still a bit up in the air there, but that's my guess on where Skarbrand could be. If we move a little eastward, we can find another interesting area, the Cliffs of Death. Why is this interesting? Because this is where Kugath is going to start for the Nurgle man. Now, this hasn't been 100% confirmed, but in one of the CA blogs, they posted an image of the settlements, talking about the mechanics, and all those settlements were in the province of the Cliffs of Death. So that seems like a safe bet to assume Kugath is going to start there. What's going to be around him? Maybe some Dwarfs, maybe some Skaven. There's mountains all around him, so that seems like a possible option. And he's also not far from Kislev, who are just to the southwest of him there, so he's got a major enemy faction to go for if he wants. Now, moving eastward again, we come to the Mountains of Morn, the home of the Ogres. And Greaser starts in the Ivory Road, so wedged in the mountain paths here. So kind of isolated away from everybody else. Likely going to be lots of other ogre factions around that maybe he needs to confederate or take out. Again, in the mountains as well, though, you might find some Dwarfs, some Skaven, maybe some Greenskins as well. But he is going to have Cathay just to the north of him, so maybe some Cathay factions to deal with coming down from the north. So Greasus in the Ogre Kingdom spot. Scrag is obviously not here. He's ventured off somewhere else. That's why he's down south near Reichland. But I expect this to be an ogre-heavy area. This brings us to the north then, in the Cathay Lands. This is where we will of course find Miao Ying and Zhao Ming, defending their homeland from the onslaught of chaos, just outside their door. We can't be sure this is exactly where they are, but they're roughly going to be in the Cathay area, right? And on the inside of the Great Bastion Wall. But they're not the only legendary lords to start up here, as Tzeentch's boy Kairos is up here too, on the outside of the Great Bastion Wall, as it says in the blogs that he borders Cathay. So Big Bird is going to be knocking on the Cathay door in theory, which means Cathay is going to have to deal with him quite early. There's going to be a Chaos God faction right outside their door in Kairos. But similarly, it maybe means that Kairos has a chance to break down that bastion and go and take the Cathay Lands over. So it's going to be a pretty heated area up here. Lots of big factions, lots to play for. A nice corner for Cathay as well, much like Scrag down in the bottom left. Cathay have got the top right corner. Should be nice if you can confederate that land. Maybe there's going to be enemy Cathay factions around if you're playing as Cathay. Maybe you've got to get rid of some extra Cathay factions so you can take the whole thing for yourself, or confederate them, of course. So that's Cathay and Tzeentch up in this corner, which leaves us with one faction left. Slaanesh and Nukari. We have no idea where they're going to be currently, but we got a couple of natural assumption options we could maybe make. Number one, they're going to be in the northern hemisphere part of the map, like the other three Chaos factions, and because Chaos comes from the north and all that. So they could be somewhere near Nurgle or Skarbrand, perhaps. The other natural assumption we could make is that they're going to try and spread the Chaos factions out somewhat. So this part of the map down here, where we haven't actually looked yet, could be the home of Nukari, in the name of spreading the factions out across the map, rather than putting them all in the north. But this area maybe doesn't seem that Slaaneshi, so perhaps that's not good. I don't know. If you got any better ideas, drop them in those comments. Seems more likely, though, that this area could be reserved for the Chaos Dwarfs, dare I say. That is complete and utter speculation, of course. We haven't had any single tiny little word that the Chaos Dwarfs are going to be in the game, but you know. The only other question to ask of this campaign map is, what the hell are these realms? Seems to be there's one for each of the Chaos Gods, as we've observed before: the Blood God's Domain, Realm of the Sorcerer, Land of the Plague Lord, and the Dark Prince's Realm. So, all related to one of the 4 Chaos Gods. Assumedly, we're going to be going to each one and doing something, maybe trying to get rid of it, or trying to take something from it, or take something to it. Slaanesh's realm, though, looks incredibly weird. It's like a pyramid with loads of little dots all over it. God knows what the hell that's supposed to be. Probably herpes. We should find out in the coming months. Or month, because there's only one left before February. It's getting close. So there we go. The full campaign map with roughly all the starting positions, except for that damn Nukari, who we have no idea about yet. But it's exciting to see the campaign map and things start shaping up of what we can expect when we load into that first campaign, and where everybody's going to be and which factions are going to have to deal with who. It's going to be awesome. We can also start to wonder how this is going to tack on to the Mortal Empires map that will come eventually. Will these regions all just be kind of tacked on to the edge of that? I imagine the Reichland area will be much better than it is. Obviously, Reichland on this map is just a small area with half mountains, which obviously is very different from Warhammer 2 and isn't really doing the Empire justice. But a big chunk of this map is already in Warhammer 2, to be fair. All the Norscan lands of the Trollheim Mountains and the World Edge Mountains, that's pretty much where we're at. So there's only about 2/3 of this map which is actually new. So it shouldn't add a great expansion to the Mortal Empires map, but I don't think that's a bad thing. It's pretty big already. We don't need it to get too much bigger. But I do also wonder, if there's any lore nerds out there, how much of the map we're going to be missing. Even with Warhammer 2 and this new map, are there any parts of the old world map that we still haven't seen yet? Will they potentially be added in, is the question. We shall see, I suppose. I hope you've enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. See you in the future.